Introducing The Why in Entrepreneur, a powerful story of grit and breakthrough. After a decade of perseverance, Dr. Hajo Moralaine shares her inspiring journey from struggle to success in her new book. Facing trials, self-doubt, and rejection, she discovered the true meaning of resilience and her why. More than a memoir, this book offers rare insights from both academia and real-world experience to guide you on your own entrepreneurial path. Get ready to be inspired and empowered. The Why in Entrepreneur is available now at exclusive books, Take-A-Lot, and Amazon. Don't miss out.
Well, Dr. Hajo, it's so nice to finally meet you. You're basically on a world tour at the moment, aren't you?
Yes.
And here we are, we're sitting in the Netherlands. We're at the Regis office. There's a train station just outside, so we might hear a whistle blow and we might hear a train go by.
Amsterdam.
We're in Amsterdam. How exciting is that, eh?
Whew, what a beautiful city.
Isn't it lovely?
Oh, and the weather today is the best.
Well, you managed to catch us in our 3 days of summer.
Oh, it's been cold.
No,
Oh, okay.
raining, cold.
Oh, okay.
So they say Amsterdam's got 3 days in summer and the rest is winter.
Yeah, but you know, it's been very cold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But super great to meet you for the first time. We've been talking on Zoom and we've been working together for, I don't know how long, a year now at least.
What an honor.
It's
What
so
an
nice
honor.
to meet you for the first time.
Same
so
here.
Really, really cool. And when I heard you were doing your tour and you were going to be stopping here in Amsterdam, I just absolutely had to get together with you and meet with you. And so I'm so grateful to be able to do this with you.
Thank you, Richard. This for me, this is it. It's the highlight of the trip.
Goosebumps
Meeting
stuff.
you, goosebumps, but this is the highlight of the trip
Yeah.
for me. Just meeting you. I remember, I don't know if you recall that when I tried to make contact with you about 18 months ago, 2 years ago, you had just left South
That's
Africa.
right, yes.
And I thought to myself, oh, the train has left. And then you said to me, no, don't worry. We'll still be able to work together. So I'm glad we're here.
Thank goodness for Zoom, hey?
Oh, thank goodness for Zoom. You know what? COVID was bad. You know, COVID-19 was terrible, but I always link Zoom with COVID.
Yeah.
That, you know, there's always a silver lining in
Always
every
a
dark.
silver lining.
Always a silver lining. Yeah.
So I'd like to just start off by giving me some of your background in terms of your education, where you come from, because I know it's impressive. So I'd love to just start with that.
Oh, great. I think it's a good icebreaker. It's easy to talk about myself. I come from a very big family. I always say I come from a family of 10.
Oh, really?
Yes. Mom, dad, 4 boys, 4 girls. Literally
heavens.
10 people. And as you know, the craziest part is that the 4 brothers and the 3 sisters, it's a very interesting mix. We had my eldest sister, eldest brother, sister, brother, just like that.
Yeah.
So my mom and dad had it like brilliantly well. 4 girls, 4 boys. Grew up in Northwest South Africa. I want to believe that it's supposed to be a popular village because I come from the platinum mines.
Okay.
Yes.
Was it up Rustenburg way?
Rustenburg. I come from Rustenburg. I'm a Rustenburg girl. So I grew up there in the mining area. My parents, both teachers. My dad passed away 2 years ago. So I've had my dad for a very long time. I thank God for that. My mom is still alive. So I come from a very good family of educators. So education has always been something that was guaranteed. We could go without food, whatever, but if you wanted to study anything, anywhere, you had that because my mom and dad were educators. So I've got a very strong background in terms of education role models because of my mom and dad. So I also was fortunate to attend very good schools in South Africa. You know, there's public and private. So I actually grew up at a time when we were slowly moving into private schools. So I went to a very good boarding school. It was a Catholic boarding school run by Irish nuns.
Okay.
So yeah, girls' school. So
You didn't pick up the accent.
no. I've always been a good girl. You know, I don't visit and do funny things. I stay, I get what I need, and I'll move on. So I went to St. Anne's High School. Okay. And after that, and I talk about it actually in the book briefly about my background, I was gifted, and I think I'm still gifted in maths and science. So for some odd reason, the only thing I don't remember about my life is how I ended up in medical school. Okay. I went to med school.
Okay.
And I think it's mainly because the school that I went to, it was a very small private boarding school. So the nuns literally told us what we had to do.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I was amongst the few girls, I think 10 girls who were assigned maths and science. Those were our subjects. Yeah. And I did very well in maths and science. And yes, I found myself in medical school. I don't know who applied for me, but I was accepted.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yes, and my dad was so happy. My dad was so proud of me. He literally took a day off to take me to med school. And the funniest part of the story is that I was not happy with it.
Oh, really?
I was not happy with going to medical
goodness.
school. Yeah, but it was never my dream to become a doctor. But I was good in maths and science, and I found myself in medical school. So I was there, but my mind was elsewhere. And unfortunately for me, I was the only girl from my school who made it to medical school. And that actually made it even worse. But I managed to get myself out of medical school. Again, thank God to being strong in maths and science, I got a bursary from Chamber of Mines because my dad worked for the platinum mines. So I was fortunate enough to get that scholarship bursary, and I was able to wiggle myself out of medical school to find eventually to get into the commerce field. Okay. Where I eventually got into your MBAs. I went to study in the US.
Did you do your MBA in the US?
No, I did my MBA in South Africa, but in the US I did my master's in science. Okay. And then when I went back to South Africa, then I did my MBA and I did my master's in taxation. So I've got 3 master's degrees. And I needed to tell you about my background in education so that you understand the influence that my parents had on me. Yeah. I always thought more degrees will give me even a better life. And I think for reasonably so, I had a good life. Thank God, because of the degrees that I did. So I did my master's in science, I did my MBA, and I did my master's in taxation. And after that, I then decided, what else now? I wanted to still become a doctor for the sake of my parents because they were disappointed when I dropped out of medical school. So part of the reason why I eventually did a doctorate was the title.
So that I understand completely.
Yeah, so that my parents can eventually say, she's now a doctor. And then I went to University of Pretoria to do my doctorate. I enjoyed it.
And what did you do your doctorate in?
Entrepreneurship.
Oh,
yes.
Well, that's obviously where you've landed now.
And you know why, Richard? I had to do that because when I was doing my MBA, I was already thinking about becoming an entrepreneur. But after I graduated, the only thing that happened is that I just got promoted. I went up the corporate ladder. And my mind was not thinking entrepreneurship. And I struggled with that because I really wanted to be an entrepreneur. But I realized that MBA does not train you to become an entrepreneur. It trains you to become an administrator. Yeah. So you work for entrepreneurs with an MBA. And that's what my MBA did for me. But later on, I spoke to one of the professors at University of Pretoria who told me about entrepreneurship and a PhD in that. So I had to do a bridging course because I didn't have that as a background. So for 6 months before I could be accepted into a doctoral program, I had to do a bridging course. And I enjoyed it then. And that's why I decided to go full on with a PhD in entrepreneurship. And the reason why I'm sitting here talking to you is because of that foundation, that when I was doing my doctorate, that's when my mind, something switched on, that I started seeing possibilities And my mind started operating like a mind of an entrepreneur.
Okay.
You know your Elon Musk?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, that's the switch. I do appreciate them when I see them because it's not for everyone.
No.
And it's not easy,
No.
but something will happen that will actually tell you this is it. And I got it from there.
And this is where, I mean, we've been working together for a while, so I know that this is where your heart lies and certainly where your talents lie as well.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And you know, there's this thing they keep on saying, what's your purpose? You know, what's your purpose in life? I want to believe that this is the one. I found it. Entrepreneurship.
So you wrote a book. I'd love to just dive into the book and let's just quickly go through what is in the book, and I'd love to know why you wrote it. You know, what is the passion behind writing this book? So let's start there.
So Richard, as I was growing up in my village, I saw business people, entrepreneurs, right? And in a village setup, there are classes, the haves and the have-nots. In my time, the haves were the guys, the kids that came from families that owned the shops. And I saw that and it impressed me. But interestingly, I was always thinking, I wonder where they get the products from.
Okay.
The products that they're selling, because the trucks would come every morning delivering. And my mind was on that. And later on, as I grew older, I realized that there's a thing called people that are manufacturing, and they are packaging, and then they distribute. So it took me a long time to understand that. So eventually, when I started my own business, after my PhD, it's when I got to understand the definition of entrepreneurship. In simple language, problem solving.
Oh, really?
Simple. Solve a problem. Then money will come, but solve a problem. So I think most of the people do it the other way around. They want money, but the money is not it's the end goal. The real thing is solve a problem. So I remember in this lecture, the professor saying, how many of you are entrepreneurs, you know, in Afrikaans? Yeah. How many of you are entrepreneurs? And we were not entrepreneurs. And then he said, then you won't make it. You have to go and try this thing.
Oh, really?
Then the issue was, how do we identify opportunities? Because that's a big question. Everybody wants to do it, but we don't know where to start and what to do. But then he said, go identify this one problem that you have and find a solution. And that's entrepreneurship. But then it doesn't end there. You need to establish if there are more people who are having the same problem. In my case, I grew up with this problem of not being able to manage my own natural hair. My hair is very curly. It's very difficult to comb. It's very painful. You will not understand, but it's one of the worst things, having to put a comb and trying to comb. So for a long time, I really was looking for a product that I could use that is not going to relax my hair, you know, like straighten it. I didn't want to straighten my hair. I just wanted my hair to be manageable. Yeah. So I thought to myself, because we've got this assignment in my doctoral thing, let me try and see if I can solve that problem, because it's my problem. Yeah. But then the second part of the solve the problem, you need to establish if there are more people who are having the same problem.
Well, I should imagine in South Africa there's a fair number of people who are having that problem.
My sisters, my friends, and all of them. So I then decided, okay, this is an assignment. I got into my kitchen. I had been to Ghana. My husband he was an expat and met a lot of people overseas and stuff. So we went to Ghana to visit. And that's where I was introduced to shea butter. And I was told what it could do. And part of what it does is really moisturize the skin and the hair and stuff. So I had this as a gift from Ghana. And I went into my kitchen and I started playing around with ingredients. The main thing was that I needed to solve this hair problem the natural way, because we had too many products in the market, but the problem was those products were not always good.
Most of them are chemical based.
Yes, yes. So we call them synthetic.
Okay.
Right? And I wanted to come up with natural products. So I took that and I started putting, and they always say, if you know, the one way to know if the product is good is if some of the ingredients can be edible.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Right? So I went into the kitchen and I found your coconut oil, your olive oils, and all that. And I played around with that, applied it everywhere. And fortunately for me, somehow it worked. I started sharing with friends, church people, and people started coming from more. And then I thought to myself, why not? Because it literally answered the second part of the question, who else has this problem? And I realized the market was bigger, so I started sharing.
So, just if I can just peel back a little bit here. So, you'd actually made this product in your
Kitchen.
In your kitchen.
Yes.
So you were kind of mixing this in like normal bowls and
Yeah.
what you normally cooked with. You
Yes.
and
Yes.
then you were packaging it and people were buying it from you.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's an amazing start because now you've got this organic product that is just growing organically,
Yeah.
let's say. Yeah.
And I think that the good thing, Richard, is that a lot of people could relate to my problem and they trusted the process because I was doing it for me.
But you know, this is not just a South African problem. I remember watching a couple of years ago Oprah, who was talking about exactly this thing, how she was struggling with her hair.
Yes.
And that she was looking for products that would help solve that problem.
And you know what's so interesting is that what works for Oprah in the US is not necessarily a solution for maybe the type of hair that I have.
Oh, I'm with you.
So what we are getting, when we talk about natural, organic, we are saying something that will work for everyone. So in the past, solutions were there, but these solutions always had what you called chemical and what I call synthetic.
Okay.
So the real issue today is to come up with the product that people now look for. They literally read the labels.
Yeah, of course.
Check the ingredients. Is it really natural? Is it organic? And that helps because it can be also used by like little children. You can use it on them. So that's where the market is going. Everything is all natural and organic. So, and then I thought to myself, okay, PhD is done. I've got the title. Why don't I then develop this into a business? And from one product, raw shea butter, today we have about 20 different products, even more.
Yeah.
So what started out as a kitchen experiment has actually gone on to be a huge range of products to the extent that now we've also moved into it's not just hair only, we're now into skin and wellness.
What I'd like to do now is just pull back to the book a second. So you've written this book, and what is the goal of that book?
Okay, the goal of this book, Richard, is that there are many people like me who want to start. They don't know what, how, and when. So I thought to myself, write a book that will enable another Hajo. Okay. In this book, I really go, literally when they say, I put everything out there.
You bare your soul.
Yes, because I'm writing this for that young woman, young man, for that person that's sitting there thinking, where do I start? Because with all the education in the world that I had, I struggled. And like I told you that I started in the kitchen, and for a while I really thought I was going to be successful just working from the kitchen, until somebody said to me, get out of the kitchen.
Yeah. You can't run a big business
You
from
can't.
the kitchen. Yeah, yeah.
And it was difficult. And getting out of the kitchen to the world is another drama, because from the kitchen concoctions, I now had to realized that if I had wanted to take this product to Amsterdam, to the US, there's a different process. And the process is you need to formulate. Yeah. You need to make sure that the products are compliant and they are tested, because you don't want people using your products and something goes wrong. So there is a whole drama of events that happens behind the scenes that is not in the kitchen. So from the kitchen, I moved on to the lab, and from the lab, I had to move on to there are too many players in the market, and that is not easy. And in this book, I'm saying literally it's not just about making cosmetics. This is about any business that you get into. It is the legal side, the complexities, the financial. And fortunately, I write this book from a voice that says it's not easy, it's difficult, but it is doable. There are challenges. There's a chapter that I write here that talks about overcoming obstacles. You know, the usual stuff, the money, the finances. And I realized that I think I had about 3,500 in the bank when I started this business. So the big story in my story is that with the little that you have, you can do more.
And just to put this into perspective, 3,500 rands is about $150.
Yebo. Yes.
Okay, so just to put that into perspective, it's not like it's $3,500. You had $150 in the bank when you started the business.
When I started the business, and I literally, the only thing I had was my kitchen, my small kitchen. And it's important for me to say this, Richard, because when people hear that I'm a doctor, I've got all these things, my children have said that to me, Mommy, you know, people might not believe your story because they will all assume that you started out big. They will not, but the truth of the story is that I had that $150 and then I made use of that, and I said to myself, I think there is a Bible verse that said, what do you have in your hand? And then that little thing that you have in your hand, you can do more with that. Absolutely. And that's the story of this book. So there's about 12 chapters in the book. The first 6 chapters talk about the drama, the trials, all the challenges that I had. The story really is about how I moved from the kitchen and I tried to get into the bigger world, and there were obstacles almost everywhere.
Now you try to get into the so once you started making your product, you try to get into the retail.
Yes.
And that must have been a lot of fun. You must have enjoyed that immensely.
You know, and that's actually the crux of the story. I wish I knew that when I was busy working in the kitchen, it was just a tiny part of the success story. The biggest challenge is getting your product out there.
Yeah.
I used to have the product in the boot of my car, selling from there, go to church, I sell everywhere else. But then I had to really reach the bigger market. And to reach the bigger market, what I needed was an outlet, a big maybe chain store, retail chain store, to literally have my products on the shelves. I have too many regret letters. I used to file them.
From when you would approach them and they'd say, I regret, we're not going to do that.
You know that when you eventually so scared to even open the email.
I know exactly what you mean.
And then you get excited and I'm like, oh, let's see, they've responded. And then there is, dear Dr. Hajo, thank you very much for this. But you read and you know the second paragraph.
Sorry.
So I had a lot of those and I almost gave up because you can't just keep on selling to your friends and your neighbors.
Well, don't get enough volume, do you?
You don't get enough. So I was just about to give up, Richard, when one day my son said to me, why don't you try direct selling? I was like, what's that? She says, Mommy, yeah, it works. And I was very skeptical. And I do understand when people have issues because I come from there. I didn't understand what direct selling was. And then he gave me a couple of big names, you know, the big ones that we know.
Yeah, Avon.
The big one was Herbalife because he's a guy. So he's taking all the supplements and they gym and they do. Mommy, these guys are making a big buck out of this. So eventually And it took me a long time to really agree with my son, because I was like, how can I go around selling to individuals? Because it doesn't click. Like I have to talk to Richard, and Richard talks to Lisiba and whatever. So, but one day when I realized that things were bad is when I got this email from one of the big retailers that I go there every week. My husband says to me, why do we have to buy from these guys? Groceries and everything I buy from them. Woolies. Yeah. Then I wrote to them. Then they responded. And I'm telling you, I spend a lot of money there. And they say, dear Dr. Hajo, we love what you're doing. We would love to work with you. Unfortunately.
There's that word again.
Yes. But you know what made me realize that I need to stop trying is when they said to me, but just in case in the future you find us doing a similar thing, please do not think it has anything to do with you. We are busy in the development stage. And then I thought to myself,
no.
Why this warning about just in case you see us doing a similar thing? And then I said to him, okay, you know what? It's not going to work. And then I've said to my son, where is that MLM story? Let's try it. And boy, what a journey.
But this is the kind of thing that happens with the retailers, and they frustrate me intensely. And so I think the best thing that ever happened to you was that you didn't get into the retail stores.
And you know what, Richard, I didn't see it that way. And the other thing is that people kept on saying, oh, you know what, Dr. Hajo, we're looking for your products. Where can we find them? So there's also pressure from the market. Yeah. People are saying, why don't we see you on the shelves? Because they really don't know. I also didn't know. It's only now that I appreciate that sometimes when you don't get something, it's actually a good thing.
Yeah.
And I've watched one of your videos, Richard, and I said to Lisiba, look at this. Because the whole story of how it works in retail, I know it because I've studied it in my MBA. But until you do it yourself and you get told that this is your product, you bring it here, we're going to take so much, you take this, and you realize, but there's nothing left. You know, part of the frustration that I had is when people that look like me, yeah, that I thought I was solving the problem for, said to me, your products are too expensive. And the reason why they say that, I also appreciate what they're saying, is because we are so used to 90% of what's in the bottle just being water. And the rest of the good ingredients are not there. So when you go to them with a product that's literally rich, yes, in good stuff, yeah, they say it's expensive. And you sit there and you're thinking, yes, actually, I can make it cheaper.
But then I have to remove all of the good stuff out of it.
Compromise my values.
Exactly.
And this is my product. I use it for myself. Yeah. So the minute I do that, I'm not only messing up with you, I'm messing up with me. And I used to go to my service providers, my formulators, to say, I need to lower the price. Please help me. And they would tell me, like you've just told me, Dr. Hajo, the only way to lower this price is that we remove all these good ingredients that you want. And I had to literally sit there and make big decisions. Am I going to remove what is good so that I can remain competitive, or continue on a journey of providing goodness in the bottle? Yeah. And it's not an easy task, but at the end of the day, it's about your values.
Well, I say to people, you can have something good or you can have something cheap.
Yes.
You can't have both.
So
because quality costs. There's a price attached, yeah, to quality. There's no way around it.
And this book, again, you've asked me a good question. Why did you write the book? It's because it's not easy for me to explain these things one-on-one. So I just decided, put it in writing. And also the other thing, you know, Richard, what I've done, and thanks to you and to many coaches and mentors that I have, the art of reading. I've invested a lot in reading. And it's actually in the many books that I've read that I found what I've been searching for. I remember reading, you know, Herman Mashaba.
Yeah.
He came up with Dark and Lovely. What is it? Black Like Me.
Yes.
So I remember when I was still in the kitchen and I was struggling to understand how to formulate, like beyond the kitchen. So I was trying to ask everybody, like, where do I find a formulator? Who is a formulator? What do they look like? Because I had never heard of that. And then I remember we were on a road trip. You know, the garden route?
Oh, yeah, I know it well.
Yes, with my family. And I bought this book that he wrote. And that's why I wrote this book. And I was reading this book and I'm thinking, let me hear how he did it. Because he was in that era.
Yeah.
And mine is different, but let me... And I remember one day, I think we were actually in Neisner, you know, on our route.
Yeah.
And I started screaming. I'm like, Lesiva, I think I found it. I found the answer. Somewhere, he literally explained the whole thing that I was looking for. And that's why I believe in reading. I literally read word for word. I underlined the whole page. And after that trip, I knew exactly where to go because it was in his book. Because I understood that it's not really about this guy that you're seeing there who's called a production manager. The production manager is just literally in charge of that factory production.
Yeah.
But there is a guy behind him who's busy with the formulation.
Yes.
So in that book, I then got it that the guy I'm looking for is not a production manager. I'm looking for the guy behind him, the guy who brings the KFC formula alive.
Yes.
So everybody's making KFC every day. But when they go home, they can't reproduce.
No.
Because they don't know.
Exactly.
And then it was the light bulb moment. And I thought, oh, yes. Oh, so you need actually a scientist. So there is a guy behind the production manager. Because I always thought you go to the factory and the guy that's mixing. No, he gets everything already mixed. And they just have to put things together. But behind him, there is somebody else.
It tells him what needs to go into the product.
And that's the IP. That's the IP. So I always say to people, this shampoo that you see here, this is very expensive. Because for all the products that I have, Richard, I had to literally spend a lot of money just for a formula for shampoo, a formula for conditioner, and at the end of the day, when you shall say, I have this massive business, is when you have the IP for all the things that you have.
Exactly.
And that you wouldn't know
No.
until you find it somewhere. If you don't have a brilliant uncle like Richard, then you're doomed. So if you don't have an uncle, go get your uncle from Exclusive Books or something.
Well, that's what I was going to say to you, because a friend of mine once said to me, he was a heavyweight businessman, he said, you know, you can hide the biggest secrets in the world
Yes,
in the pages of a book, and most people will never find them,
that's true.
you know. But for those few who are prepared to open the pages and who are prepared to explore, everything that you ever wanted to know is right there,
Yes.
you know.
And it's so true. And I you know what? It is so true that when people say, I've got a business plan, I don't want to share it with you, you want to laugh. Because you know that that business plan, chances are that it's actually incomplete. Because half the truth is not there. You need to go find it. So that's what I'm saying. I'm very thankful to the mentors that I have and also the love of reading. And this book, I've written it to help a lot of people because and I struggled with role models personally. I remember somebody saying to me, have you watched, what's that Madam C. Walker straight? Self-Made. There's a movie called Self-Made on Netflix, and it's about Madam C.J. Walker. She's an American businesswoman who actually started a similar multi-level marketing. She started her own hair care brand, and she made millions using the multi-level marketing formula. And I watched that movie. I don't know how many times. I've never watched a movie like that. I keep on watching and watching because every time I watch it, something new comes up. So I think for me, the main reason why, Richard, I had to write a book is because I've benefited.
Yeah.
I've benefited immensely from that. And the other thing is that you can highlight it, you can come back, you can do this. And if you are a startup, starting a new business, and obviously you don't have the resources to hire a lot of people, this becomes your board. When you say how many people you have in your board, your board members, it becomes your mentor meetings because you've got it here.
Exactly. And when you put your business together, one of the key things you were looking at was, how do I create a business opportunity for just a normal person, somebody who's maybe doesn't have an opportunity anywhere else, maybe didn't go to school even, because in South Africa we have a lot of that.
Yes, yeah.
And so that was exciting. Can you maybe tell me a little bit about that journey?
Actually, in I think it's chapter 6 of this book, I talk about how I actually started the multi-level marketing. I literally start with a story, a very unfortunate story of how when I grew up, I saw my mother being scammed. And I didn't understand what it was. And everybody kind of said it was maybe a pyramid scheme or something. But then the discomfort for me was that I didn't really understand the difference. But as soon as I got to watch most of your clips and educated myself about multi-level marketing, I understood the power of MLMs, especially in emerging economies like South Africa, where even graduates, our own children who have gone to universities cannot find jobs. The one thing about MLM that I've truly appreciated, and then I see it also in my business, is that anybody who is willing, who is ready, can actually get to participate. Because many other things, you need to know someone and have connections, money to do
That
it.
old story, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yes, yeah.
You can't make money unless you know the right people. Yeah,
And in the book, I also talk about many women. Remember, I think I did share with you that I ran a pilot program. After my son told me about multi-level marketing, I decided to pilot it before I go big. So before I met you, I had actually done a pilot study for something like 18 months. And I did it also out of frustration because I had products that were about to expire and the market wasn't there. So I decided to test the concept of multi-level marketing with a few women and reach it. I've got them. I don't know if you've seen the video. They came back. I had 50 of them. And they came back to say, can we please do more? And my question to them was, what is more? No, this thing is making a difference. Look at how much I'm selling. But my friends also want to participate. But at the time, because I didn't have a system, it was from a spreadsheet, Excel. I said to them, and it was very basic. I just gave them, you sell and you get 20%. So they kept on coming back. And there was a big need. And young people were asking me, can I also participate? But I did that pilot study based on the few products that I had. So I couldn't expand it. But when I realized that there was traction and people were needing that, and that's another thing we need to remember about multi-level marketing, is that there are many people who would want to get into business, but they cannot because they don't have the resources that we all need to start big businesses. So from that pilot study, I then knew that I had to make it bigger. And that's why I went to look for a system before I could go big, to go find a system that would help me carry more people. And the biggest advantage has been people are able to get involved without having to go and break the bank and go ask for whatever. And they are able to empower others.
Now, I think just before you carry on with that, I just want to really clarify the way that you've done this, because the term multi-level marketing might be just misconstrued, because what you've done is you've created this amazing product. I mean, just people love the product and they buy the product because they love it, right?
Yes, yes.
And they would buy it whether there was a business opportunity attached or not.
Yeah.
They were using it before the business opportunity
10
came
years.
along. Yeah.
For 10 years.
So the product is amazing.
Yes.
Okay? And people buy it just because it's incredible. What you've now done is you've said to people, listen, I will give you the opportunity to sell this product and make a profit. So people are basically buying the product from you at a discount, and then they are selling it on themselves. And you've got a lot of people at the moment who are putting a roof over their head and food on their table just by reselling your product.
Yeah.
And then what you did is you said, look, if you guys want to, you can become basically sales managers. You can recruit a team for yourself, and you can get those people to go and sell with you. And so you have people that are selling themselves, but they've got 5 or 10 ladies who are also selling the product on. And you've created a lot of income and a lot of success for people who are just literally taking your product, buying it because they love it, but then because they love it are able to sell it onto other people easily. Would that be a good description?
A great description, except that it's not just ladies. I've got now a bigger population. When we started, it was just a group of ladies.
Okay.
But now I've got young men and women. So it has cut across because the product is that good. So when we started, the one thing that I almost messed up on was just trying to focus only on the ladies.
Okay.
And now because of the dynamics of South Africa, unemployment rate and all that, we have even a broader audience, and we're working with a lot of other people. So we've actually surprised ourselves. But I think the main thing, Richard, what you've reminded me on is that we had been walking this journey for almost 10 years, and with repeat and loyal customers. And the only thing that we managed to do now is to say, let's make the circle bigger by giving
100%.
people more opportunities. And what I love the most is the youth. We're getting a lot of young people.
Really?
Yes, I love that the most, and they bringing also a lot of ideas. I've got young men who are saying to us, we need a beard oil. We need this. Yes, and that's the magic of this, when people literally say, I've got customers that are asking me, when are you coming up with power something for muscle building and all that. So it's becoming a very inclusive business, because we've got a lot of distributors now and customers.
And then you handle all of the manufacturing, you handle all of the warehousing, you handle all of the stocking, you ship the products to the clients.
Yes, yes.
So your distributors basically they're leveraging all of the infrastructure you've got, and then using that to generate.
Thank you for asking me that, because what we've done, which is something that everybody really appreciates, we have what we call Hafro Connect. It's an app. So in the past, I believe people would go knocking on doors and trying to sell this, but we've got this app that is able to assist with the marketing. And it's done amazingly. And it could be the reason why young people are so attracted to the business, because we've literally gone high tech to say, think about what's happening today, and let's align ourselves business-wise in terms of that. So if you're a distributor, the main thing is to think business. The rest, Hafro does for you. The fulfillment of the order, you get a replicated website. So you will even have a picture of yourself on the website. So people are actually transacting with you. And Hafro is a system that supports. And then so we've got the app, we've got the replicated website, and the fulfillment of the order. When we were doing our pilot study, we discovered that a lot of distributors were struggling with fulfillment.
Yeah.
Having to drive, South Africa, have to drive and deliver the products. So we've now made sure that all you have to do is to focus on the business. The fulfillment is done by Hafro.
And you've got a very clever process, because with the app, the person can talk to somebody literally by pushing a button and sending them messages and videos.
Yes.
That person then buys, and what you've done is you've set up what they call a click and collect. So you deliver the product to the nearest Pick and Pay or whatever.
Yes.
And then the person can just collect it from their nearest. So you're basically using the retail stores, but not paying them any money to be in there.
Retail stores, yes, we actually, and it's very interesting, because in a country like South Africa, where a lot of people still live in villages.
And in squatter camps as well.
Exactly.
100%.
Addresses are an issue. You find that you struggle with that. But the fulfillment that we have, exactly how we explained, is that you just let us know where's your nearest, and we deliver there, you can pick up.
So between the technology and your very innovative way of delivering the products, you really are managing to cover the whole of South Africa.
And we are. And I think just thinking about me, the village I told you about where I grew up, you still have those far-flung areas, and it doesn't matter. So in the past, I would go home and back home in the rural areas, and people will say to me, but where do I get your products? So the solution is just amazing, because I need to fulfill that for my own cousins, for my family members, so that they feel that this is their product. So that's been like the greatest, I just call it revolution.
So what you've done is you've come in, you've got an incredible product, you've created a business opportunity, and literally you are changing people's lives in South Africa. I mean, literally changing their lives.
Thank you for saying that. We want to believe that we are part of the solution. We want to be part of the solution. Like I explained earlier, that entrepreneurship is really problem solving. And we see it, Richard. And I think the issue for me is that people are looking for an example. I told you how I struggled even when I started. And what we always say in Hafro is that if we could just do it such that other people get encouraged and we remain ethical in everything that we do. And the greatest joy that I have personally is seeing my own children interested in the business, because that's a stamp of approval.
100%.
Yes, because this is for them, the young people, the under 30s, and we say to them, if it could happen elsewhere. I did case studies like the Avons in Brazil, and those companies went there to make a big difference. And what we are lacking and missing, especially in Africa, I've even in this book when I was writing it, good stories like those, because what we find is that multinational companies would come and then try to solve our problem. And what we want people to understand is that it is about time that we also solve our own problems. And part of the reason why some people say, will it work? It's because we have only been distributors. Most of the people that I know have been distributors. Very few people.
For big international companies.
Yeah. And because of being distributors, the perception that most people have is actually from the side of being a distributor, not of being literally a company that has brought in this. So that's where the challenge has been for me, that I was struggling to find those people that I can look up to and say, because Tandy did it, I can do it. So I'm hoping that Hafro will be that example, that very soon we're going to see more of us doing it at home, because even when you read the reports, when you do research, and you can type in how many direct selling companies are there in South Africa, top 20 multinationals. And we are at the point where we're saying, with the staggering unemployment rate that you've just mentioned, it cannot be a piecemeal approach. We should all go in and assist. If I can, Richard, at the end of the day, help just one person in South Africa to say, because of Hafro, I was able to do so much, I'm happy. Because the thing is, we need to do it such that eventually it's just going to, like I call it a movement. I know somebody says, why do you call it a movement? I said, it has to be. The only way to make sure that we deal with this staggering unemployment rate is that our attitude needs to be different. And head on, and go head on. And also, like, with the technology, the apps, the fulfillment, all those things, we're bringing in all those things so that we remain relevant. Because it doesn't help coming up with this amazing business, but you're still employing practices that were done 20 years ago. You need to remain relevant and say, how am I going to make sure that I compete with what is happening today in Amsterdam.
Exactly, 100%. And that's what you're doing. I mean, the technology you guys have got is just amazing, absolutely amazing. Your app is incredible. I mean, a person comes onto the app, they say, well, I want to speak to Dr. Hajer. They push a button and it instantly sends you a video on what's going on.
Yeah.
So it makes the entire sales and marketing process super simple. I mean, I haven't seen anything like it before. So it's very incredible what you've done on that front. I mean, it's really cutting edge, not just in South Africa, but worldwide. I mean, it's an amazing solution.
Thank you. I think the most fascinating part about the business is that we've got this book now, and we've been on this tour for a while. And guess what? Every time people ask us, like, what are you guys all about? And I mention this, the book is gone.
100%.
People are interested, and like,
100%.
is this the solution? I have Nigerians, some people from Africa on the boat, and they say, can I use this? Can I buy it for my people back home? And Richard, for me, I think this is the time.
So your book obviously is going to go all over the place. While we're on the subject, where can I buy the book? Where is it available?
We've just launched it.
Okay.
In South Africa, exclusive books, Take a Lot, and Amazon.
Okay.
You will be able to get the book.
And globally? Also
Globally, on Amazon. We're busy like going into Amazon globally now.
Okay.
We had to start off in South Africa, and we go. So the book is only, you're so blessed. This is only 2 weeks old. Yeah, we've just launched it, and we're now working on the distribution channels.
And it's called The Why in Entrepreneur.
Yes.
What is the thinking behind that?
Excellent question. This is the story. It's not easy to be an entrepreneur. Rejection is real. Ridicule is another story. People keep on saying, I don't want this. Why are you doing it? You will not succeed. And if you don't know why you're doing it, you are doomed. Because you will meet Richard. I got somebody, the other day someone said to me, oh, I love your book. It's nice. And he says, is it for people like us? And then the thing is, you've got to be so ready. So the why is the thing that makes you wake up in the morning and do it. So my why is to solve our own problems.
The unemployment
So
issues.
it doesn't matter what you tell me. Yes, I may get a little bit frustrated that maybe, it won't succeed. But every time I remember why I'm doing it, I wake up again.
And you go for it.
And I go for it. So your why is important. If you don't know why you're doing it, it's like me coming to meet with you and I go to the wrong station because I remember you saying there is a terminal somewhere. Anything will be a terminal. But until I understand why, I will not be in the wrong bus.
Yeah.
I will always look for the bus that is taking me to my real destination, regardless. And in life, and this is what we've seen, we're just walking, we're just going with the flow. And that is why when people discourage us, it's easy to get discouraged. But if I know, right here, talking to you in Amsterdam, what a beautiful city, amazing. But as long as I understand what my why is, I will come to Amsterdam, hug you, and go back.
Because you know
to
why.
fulfill my why.
With you.
Because my why is back home in South Africa.
Very exciting, eh?
Yep.
Now, you mentioned something really important, and this is something that is very close to my heart, is this is for everybody.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who you are or what your situation is. Anybody can find enough money to buy that book and read it.
Yes.
And learn.
We never stop learning.
But anybody can do that.
Anybody.
And anybody can switch this on if they want.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting because my husband keeps on reminding me, please, you must autograph for this guy. We've sold so many books. Mm-hmm. Because every time people hear about it, they're so intrigued. I actually was so amazed that they have got so many Americans interested in the book. But I think when you read just the back of the book, that tells you that this is not for those who are looking for a soft way out.
Yeah, sure.
These is for people that are wanting to make a difference. this book is for anybody.
Yeah. But you've also got an education program going. You're also doing education with your people and
Yes.
trying to really educate them as part of your project.
Yes, we've got training. We call it, those are the best. We've got Monday and Wednesday training sessions every evening from 7 to 8. Richard, personally, I literally have to be there because we've got this amazing trainer with, I don't know where he gets all that wisdom from, but Gary Sugar, this guy, Gary Sugar, when he started with us, we were like, I wonder what he's going to teach us. How can we be trained every week? We thought it cannot be an every week thing. I promise you, people go in. People have actually said it's more than business.
Of course, yeah.
It's more than business because the nuggets that you get there, life-changing, empowering, self-development, empowerment. And so training is good. And that's where we are learning how to develop.
Now, there's business people all over the world who are going to be watching this podcast, okay? If they want to get hold of you, because maybe they want to help you take the product into or wherever, because your product will work anywhere in the world, okay? How do they get hold of you? How do they contact you?
I've got my contacts, my emails and stuff. We'll leave it on the thing, but we at hafronatural.com.
Hafro Natural, one word?
One word.
.com?
.com.
Okay.
And that is our website.
And your contact details are on the website?
And my contact details are on the website. Everything is there.
And they can get this book called The Why in Entrepreneur.
Yes.
So let me just hold it up so it's available in the camera. So The Why in Entrepreneur, they can buy that from Amazon.
They can buy the book from Amazon, and they can contact me, send me a note. I will leave my contact details, and we'll make sure that everybody from anywhere in the world gets the book.
Doctor, thank you so much for spending this time with me. Thank you for taking time out of your busy tour to just get together with me. I really, really appreciate it. I cannot wait to get this video out onto the channel. I think it's going to have a wonderful impact on people's lives. Well, thank you very much. It was so wonderful chatting with you, and I'm looking really forward to seeing the impact that you make both in South Africa and in the world. Really lovely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's been an honor.